Hey everybody, welcome to etrailer.com. I'm Bobby, and today we're taking a look at the CURT Roof Mounted Cargo Basket here on our 2020 Ford Edge. So if you guys are looking for a way of just getting a little bit of that cargo out of your vehicle and on top of your roof, this is definitely going to be an excellent way to do it. What's nice about it, we're not going to be breaking the bank, but we're still getting a very nice, secure way of going ahead and latching on our cargo. That way it's with us whenever we get to our destination. Now the Ford Edge here doesn't have the worst cargo management out there. I think it has a pretty decent back end, of course, but you know, as soon as you load up 4 people in a vehicle, it quickly fills up, especially if you guys are finding yourself on a longer road trip or something like that, especially fitting all the snacks in. So this is an excellent way of getting that bulky cargo out of there, freeing up some space. Secondly, it's really good for anything like sports activities. If we do have those big old gym bags or you know, sets of football gear, soccer, whatever, baseball, if we're stacking all that soiled linens on the inside of the vehicle, can definitely get a little musty, kind of get that smell, right? We can go ahead, just throw them up on here, keep them nice, and keep the inside of our vehicle nice and fresh, which is great. But really going to be up to us, whatever we want to utilize this for, and I think it is a very decent way of doing it. We do have 150 pounds of weight capacity with this guy. Of course, let's make sure we are checking our own roof rack system that we have and our vehicle's own weight limit with our vehicle's owner's manual guide, but I think we're going to be a-okay with just 150 pounds for the majority of us out there. Again, it is going to have a black powder coat finish, which can be nice to go ahead and protect the sturdy steel construction on the underneath. Now, one thing I'll say about black powder coat that I always do is that it's going to be kind of us to maintain it. Why do I say that? Well, black powder coat is awesome to go ahead and start protecting against your UV radiation, your weather, things like that. What it's not so great about is protecting against ourselves and the damage that we could do to it. So if we do have anything metallic in nature or anything that's going to kind of bite into that black powder coat, I would just be a little careful as you set it up on there, because if you really want this lasting and looking good for the years to come, that's what you're going to have to do. Now, your smaller, you know, your nylon bags, things of that nature, probably going to be okay just to throw it up on there. But the heavier ones, they definitely can start gouging it, and then you're going to see little nicks in there, and then that's where you're going to start seeing rust starting to form, and it just overall just kind of ruins the quality of the finish. So if you're just a little careful with it, should last you for the years to come, which is great to see. Overall, just a decent way of getting some space on top of your car. I really like the deep well on here. I think that's almost the biggest thing I look for on these baskets. The only thing to kind of keep in mind with that depth that we're getting, which is really nice, definitely gonna be adding a little more height to the roof of our vehicle. So what I'm gonna do from our roof rack here today to the very top, that's going to be putting us at 7.5 inches. So that's definitely a lot of height. Already you can see that our roof rack sits a little taller. So that's something I'd be a little conscious of, just kind of going through those pesky drive-thrus, or maybe pull this in the garage somewhere. And especially you start loading up your cargo on here, you're going to have a little bit of height to kind of watch. But other than that, definitely not going to be the end of the world. Again, while I'm up here seeing really good contact points, I love that I can go ahead and run my cam buckles or my ratchet straps through this at any point. We do have some bigger opener kind of corners here, more open corners, sorry. And that's going to allow us to stick some of our longer items in here, which is nice. Now, it doesn't have a fully open back here. If you're looking for something that's really good for those kind of longer things, like maybe a stand-up paddleboard, highly recommend maybe looking at the Yakima Off-Grid. Just has an open back end and a fairing that you can take off really, really easy, making it more suited for your longer items. But this guy does have a removable fairing as well. However, it actually will take tools to remove it. At the end of the day, probably not a lot of us going to be taking that off and on a ton of times, but I do like how we have those open corners as well for those longer items if we need it. One last thing before we actually do get it installed, I want to let you guys know that there is a 21-inch extension available for this guy as well. And we have plenty of space here in the front. I got about 10 inches, about 15 or so inches in the back. So definitely have the length to actually go ahead and start adding your basket. Of course, keep in mind at that point, you're completely taking off your panoramic roof and covering it, I should say. But what's great, we have the clearance to fit it, so we'll be in a good spot. All right, to get it installed, it's going to be pretty straightforward. What we're going to have to do a little assembly outside of the box, just getting our main basket here set up. Doesn't take too much time at all to do, though. Once you've got that set, we can simply gently set it on top of our roof rack. What I like to do as well, kind of walk it across, and that way you can be gentle as you're setting it down, and that way you're not scuffing the underside of your carrier nor your roof racks as you set it up. But once you got it in a position, you're going to go ahead and take your plastic spacers here and set them in place. Now, I've already gone ahead and done my other 3 foot pads. So let's go ahead and see how we can get our 4th one in. So like I said, our plastic spacers between our basket and our roof rack. Then we simply take our metal bracket here, set it across our grid and on top of our spacer. And then we simply take our little U-bolts here and we're going to bring this across. I say little, but they are pretty beefy. And then we're just going to take our hand knobs and righty-tighty, start cinching it down. Now I will say this takes just a little bit of time. You guys can see how much threading I have to go here with these hand knobs, so definitely give yourself the time to kind of set this up. If it were me, I'd probably set this up the night before I was taking like a big trip or something. You know, if you don't always have your roof basket on, just because it's definitely a pain to kind of get on there. So give yourself a little bit of prep time. I'd give it maybe 5 to 10 minutes really. And honestly, it's just kind of the stamina of our hands at this point. Let's go ahead and secure all 4 of our pads down and we'll be installed. Well, with that nice and secure, all we have to do, go ahead and double check all of our connection points to make sure we're nice and solid. But other than that, we're ready to rock and roll. Well, like I said, that install is not really that hard. The biggest thing for me is the amount of time you have to take to get those knobs down. What's kind of nice, it acts as kind of a security measure because somebody's really have to take the time to back off all of those knobs if they want to take it off. And that's kind of the one other failing that I have with the CURT here. If you're really worried about your cargo basket walking off the roof of your car, highly recommend taking a look at that Yakima off-grid as well. What you can do is actually go ahead and put in locking cores on that as well to make sure that it's nice and secure for yourself, which can be great. But overall, if you're just looking for something to throw on the top of your car, start getting some of that cargo out of there in no time at all, this is definitely a great little pickup. Again, not too hard to take those knobs off. It's just really time management. So if you have the extra 5 minutes every night, you could go ahead and take these off. But I don't think we're going to be in that bad of a position if we just leave it on. But like I said, if you need that security measure, there are some options out there available at etrailer.com. Otherwise, though, guys, I think that about does it for our look here today at the CURT Roof Mounted Cargo Basket on our 2020 Ford Edge. I'm Bobby. Thank you for watching.